in the Upanishad, one Upanishads, the Katha Upanishad, I think I mentioned this before. There's this little boy, Nachiketas, and he goes to meet Lord Death, and Lord Death becomes the guru. You know, he actually demands from when Lord Death Yama to teach him that which is the knowledge. And it had nothing to do with dead people or anything. He wanted to know that because of which everything is. And he tried to dissuade him from that. So finally, he started teaching. This Vedanta class took place with Lord Death himself. And then Nachiketas, at one point, he says, I understand. And then Lord Death says, if you say you understand, you don't understand. And then Nachiketa says, but I understand. He saw. It's true. You understand here is brochure knowledge. Nachiketa saw. But I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I got it. That's the point of the whole thing. See, very beautiful. Very beautiful. That's why I say that manifestation can be different. You can never tell. Nobody can really tell.
You cannot judge.
Oh yeah, how can I judge? And it doesn't really matter. Swamiji, somebody asked him, Swamiji, are you realized? Let's suppose I am, he says. You know, they use this realized thing. Are you realized, Swamiji? Let's suppose I am. Let's suppose you're hungry. And then you ask me, did you eat? So what good does it do to you for me for I eat when you're still hungry? That's the fact that you know that I ate, that's not going to take away your hunger? What's the point? It's beautiful to say that because, first of all, it doesn't do any good to anyone to find out whether somebody is realized. I'll tell you one way when somebody was saying, he says, your guru is that which makes you see who you are. Helps you see that. And there's two types of people, there's Brahmanishtas and Kshatriyas, and there's guys that are two, both, and guys are only one. He said, I'd rather be with a Kshatriya than Brahmanishta. He says, because the Brahmanishta, he said, might not be able to teach you. And if somebody says Kshatriya knows about Shastra, at least he won't guide you wrong. Now, whether he is a Brahmanishta also, then you got the whole thing. But in the meantime, be glad that you have a Brahmanishta but if you start asking somebody, hey, are you realized? And Swamiji said it beautifully, hey, listen, if you're hungry, what good does it do to you to know that I ate? A beautiful way to express it. So, a jnani, Brahman jnani, has no wishes. Why? Because everything that had to be accomplished is already accomplished. And there's nothing to accomplish anymore for the future. Even though he still plays the roles. It's nice. It's free to play the roles. It's called moksha. But it's always in terms of knowing something about yourself. Self-knowledge. That's what we left off last week. I went a little bit over, but because I wanted to bring it up, the definition of Brahmana. Okay, now let's read the next part. He's going to be talking about a cow. Would you want to read?
Sure. The wish-fulfilling cow will only yield to one who knows Brahman. Therefore, the cow would have been useless to the king. All he would have received from it would be a cake. This made the king very angry. Of course, a typical Kshatriya response. He vowed that he would become a Brahmarshi in order to get the cow, for which he performed enormous austerities, tapas. As long as he continued to be angry, he did not become Brahmarshi. In fact, as long as he wanted to become Brahmarshi, he did not become one. Eventually, having given up wanting to become Brahmarshi, he got to the knowledge that made him a Brahmarshi.
Okay, let's make a little pause right here. Now, where is he coming from? Where does he bring this king and this cow? What happened? Tell the story so we can actually relate to it. Remember that? We talked about that?
The Kamadina?
Yeah, because remember there was this particular cow, and what did the cow do? What did the cow do?
Fulfill your wishes.
It fulfilled all desires, isn't it? And this king came to this hut. Huh?
Sister.
Yeah. And then this guy was able to bring out everything, food and everything, isn't it?
In 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes he got everything done. I said, how do you do that? I said, I got this cow. Yeah, I got this cow. And then the king says, well, I want that cow. Isn't it? But then what did he say? What did the rishi say?
You can't have it.
You can't have it. Why?
Because he was not a Brahmarshi.
That's right, he didn't know Brahman. He didn't know Brahman. And the king got upset. And then, here's the point. I want that cow to give me anything I want. And for that, I will be what? A Brahmarshi. And you know what? He couldn't become. Why?
Because he was wanting.
Desire. He was mad.
He didn't deserve it.
Well, you can say he didn't deserve it, yes, in a sense, but that didn't make him fit. In other words, he was not an adhikari. He was not fit. Let's suppose I want to become an athlete. You know, so that people say I am the best and this and that, okay? It's an ego thing. Now, I can train and everything, but you know what? The team will kick me out. Why? Because you know how they call these players that they play soccer or any kind of game, and they only play for themselves and they want to just stand out? They might be very good, but they'll never be, what?
Team player.
That's right, and he will never be able to be successful, you know? So, in the same way, he's this king. It was ego-driven desire. He has wanted to get all his desires fulfilled. There's no qualification. Not only you have to have viveka, but you have to have vairagya. Vairagya means what? What is vairagya? Detachment. Detachment? This guy didn't know detachment at all. He just was attached to what? To get a cow that will make him more rich, you know? That's all he wanted. And
But
he was trying...
detached,
Huh?
If you are detached, you don't even need anything.
Well, then is when you get it.
Yeah, then you can get it. but
Then you can get
not
it.
attachment. Yeah.
If you're detached out of vairagya, out of viveka, then you can get it. But if you don't, let me just put it. I'm going to put a crude example.
The example,
You know, you
best
can-
example-
yeah.
Best example is the Karate Kid. Remember the kid comes.
The Karate Kid.
Yeah, the kid comes.
You saw the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Karate Kid.
What did he do? You know, you're not ready yet. So he said, sends him to wash the car.
What
He
the
couldn't-
heck?
He didn't understand. Why is he not teaching me how to fight? So that's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're not prepared.
So his attitude was not there. There's an attitude that needs to be there. Certain attitude. There has to be some reverence. There has to be some purity of heart. There's got to be some shanti in the person.
You have to be in the receiving mode.
That's correct. That's correct. Again, you can try too hard, and nothing happens. You have to take it easy and just. Swami Chimayananda used to have a particular saying. He says, "Hasten slowly." And you say, "But that's contradictory." That's contradictory. It is not contradictory, as a matter of fact. You know, let's suppose you have a backyard, and then you bring a seed, and then you want to have
Germinate fast.
you want to have fast corn or you want to have beans. Let's say, And so you read instructions and things don't come out, and you keep going over there and look and see how that thing is, and never appears. Never appears. So you do that with the work, and then you worship the earth, and then you allow the earth to do its job. You see the idea? Somehow you have to allow it, but we want everything quick. So he was not fit because he was ego-driven, desire-driven. He just wanted to amass more wealth, and then I am the king of this, and I own this cow, I can get anything I want. So this cow ain't going to give it to you, baby. You're not qualified. And even if you try hard enough, it won't work, because it isn't a matter of that. Self-knowledge, Brahmavidya, cannot happen in a heart that is not ready. You have to become an adhikari. You have to have developed this viveka. Viveka about what? Let's just talk a little bit about that. Viveka about that. Think about this. Viveka means discrimination, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Now, right now, I look at things, I look at situations, and I look at people as the source of happiness. I don't realize it to what degree, but that's what I do. If I have this, or this happens, or this person comes, or I don't have it, but either way, nivritti or pravritti, in both ways, I see that my happiness is there. Mm-hmm. And when I get it, to get rid of it, I'll be okay. In other words, I'm trying to find a self that is happy, and my happiness is based upon that. Now, let's talk about Viveka. Viveka says, or tells you, or points out to the fact that no one, nothing contains happiness. I said, how do you figure that out? Well, I looked and I made an analysis. So, why do you think there's garage sales?
Pardon me?
Why do you think there's garage sales? You know garage sales in America?
What do you think?
Yeah. Why do you think it's garage sales?
I want to get rid of
Because
Yes.
the thing that makes the person unhappy
it's going out.
is throwing it out, you see? And I want that thing for to make it happy. If they had happiness, as they originally thought, they would never get rid of it. But the thing that's going to happen is happiness is just a projection of the mind. What do you think there is divorces to marry somebody else? So this guy got rid of his wife, and to me she's all happiness, represents all happiness for me. If she contained happiness, that guy would have been happy with her. But she's trying to get rid of her. So there's no one that in itself contains happiness. That's Viveka. So I'm a diabetic, or I have a thyroid problem, or I have a blood pressure problem. So I like cake.
So I what?
I like cake.
Okay.
Okay, I like cake with a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, and even the what do you call those things you put in it to make it,
With
whipped cream.
The fluff.
Okay,
The fluff.
that's right. And the fluff. That's correct.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Once I know what cake does to the physiology, and I'm digging a grave for myself, saying I want to continue being. Okay, so I want to be happy. That thing contains what? Now it contains what? Unhappiness. So Viveka is there. You know what happens now? You put the cake right there. Because I have Viveka, I know that in terms of my health, that thing was going to mess me up. And I can say, thank you, but no thank you. That's called Vairagya.
Yeah.
It's called Vairagya. This is something simple. So once you discern that something doesn't contain what you're looking for, then Viveka is there, and the consequence should be Vairagya. Vairagya means freedom from attachment from nothing. Now, a Vedanta student, a person that is, I say that, pursuing knowledge, self-knowledge, a person that wants to find the truth, a truth seeker, he knows there are some things that are completely opposite to what he's looking for, that actually are incongruent. If the person does that, it's contrary to his pursuit. So then he understands that things, beings, and situations don't contain happiness. And then he's been taught by the scripture that this Ananda is his nature. And whenever he feels a sense of completeness, is not the product of the thing, is a product of his agitated mind became quiet, and then the self gets reflected. So all joy comes from me. Prior to that, I thought my agitated mind will be resolved when I got that, so I said that thing has happiness. I realized that then the happiness comes from me. But it seems to go away. But even though the happiness goes away, I long for it. So there's viveka. And you know what? That person then becomes what? A viragi. Does it mean he doesn't engage? Yeah, he engages with the world. But then as Swami Dayananda was saying in the previous class we had, he said the world of things, the world of beings, and the world of situations are like hoops. You know hoops? Hoops?
Circles.
Hoops, okay, watch. And the mind that has no viveka has a whole bunch of what? Hooks. So it gets hooked on that, hooked on that, hooked on that, hooked on that, and it's full of, and this pulls over there, it pulls over there, so it's always hooked. Maturity, growth of a person is to be able to straighten the hooks. But how can you straighten the hooks if you think the hoops will complete you? Meaning what? That they contain fullness. If that viveka is not there, it's an aviveki, then the person will become what? Akamya karmi. A karmi, someone that performs actions with tremendous hooks all the time, getting hung up on this, and the person becomes all loose at ease and all the faculties, and the person is still panting. Now he cannot hear some things. I cannot have steak because I have no teeth, and so on and so on. And I die miserable. Why? Because I never picked up the idea of getting rid of the hooks. Why? Because no viveka, there's no thinking. And not because I'm stupid, that's not the idea. It is because somehow, for some reason, I didn't get a chance to be able to see that. And when I heard it, look at Arjuna. I have to give an example. Arjuna, you know, Arjuna was in exile. You know, the story says he was in exile. How many years? 12 years. You know where he was? Where was he in exile for 12 years?
The forest.
In the forest, isn't it? You know who lived in the forest?
Rishis.
The greatest rishis were there. And he was friends with them. This thing doesn't come from osmosis. Who's the author of the Mahabharata and who's Vedavyasa, isn't it? Talk about a rishi. And he was friends with Vedavyasa. But the guy didn't think. He missed the opportunity. And it is proven because in the first chapter of the Gita and in the beginning of the second chapter, the guy is almost in tears. And Lord Krishna tells him, hey, he said, you speak words of wisdom. It's a lot of hot air. Why? Because a wise man doesn't suffer. So even though he was next to all these great rishis, you know, he was still full of hooks. As a matter of fact, he was a great friend of Krishna. And he never saw him. He worshipped Krishna. He knew he was a great guy. I mean, he was something that to the point that he actually chose him instead of an army. because he represented, he had some devotion to the Lord and all that, but that wasn't enough. You see the idea? So the hooks were there. So what Lord Krishna is saying, helping Arjuna, what? Straighten the hooks, so they get not hooked on the hoops. Things, beings, and situations become our hoops. And we are also a hoop to others. Isn't it? Some suffer because they can't get rid of us. And some suffer because they can't get us. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Some suffer because they can't get rid of us. Especially if my father doesn't die, my God, the guy doesn't die, and I get all this money, he's spending it, he's supporting the trips, and when I end up with nothing, when is he going to die? Stuff like that. Or I wish my uncle, look this way before he dies. So, and my uncle doesn't have anything to do with me, but he's hung up. Because he can't get rid of me. He's got a hook also. And I become his source of misery. And so on and so on and so on. So Arjuna, like many of us, we grow old and we don't develop the capacity. We don't really know that we're hooked. We are like, how can I say this? We are like drug addicts. A drug addict? We become dependent. And we have no life of our own. Our life depends on you give it to me. If you come to class, then I have a great day today. Oh, Sunday, it was great. People came in, even friends. That makes my life. It becomes then it becomes another, what do you call this? Another fix. Fix. English word for fix was what?
Drugs.
The drugs. Mm-hmm. Things, beings, and situations. Oh, Satan. Oh, another drug, another hook to that. That's the whole idea. So here, the Rishi is someone that has gotten rid of the hooks, or the hooks, so he's no longer hooked. Very interesting. I spent time with Swami Chimananda. I was lucky enough to be with him for a long time. And I couldn't see any hooks in him. It was great to see a person free from hooks. And we could have definitely, we became hooked. And he even that. He says, hey, listen, I'm not a mule guru. I'm not going to be carrying anybody. You go on your own, fella. He used to tell us that. Some people, yes, we can hang up on him, and he was unhealthy. As a matter of fact, one time, there was this person following him. I wanted to know where he was staying, just to go and hang out with him. And then, I was driving the car, he says, loser. Loser. So what do you mean loser? You're a loser. So we go to a street San Francisco, get a real lady. and they had a good driver, he was right behind me. So I decided to make one of those movie tourists in the middle of the street and went the other way. The guy couldn't do it because of traffic. It was for her health. Mm-hmm. Because he became a hoop, and she had a big, all hoops anyway. So she was hooked on that, and he wanted her to grow. Otherwise, it wouldn't grow like that. So anyway, that's important, So to straighten the hooks is the opportunity of a lifetime, and we don't know we have hooks. And before you know it, I know this fellow, but he had a heart pacer, how do you call this, pacemaker? Yes. And he was all concerned what they're going to think about him. In other words, the image. And then the money. The money. And so on. My father died because of the same thing. Foolishly. Say, hey, come on, you got a heart attack, you're having an infarct, stay there. And then who's going to take care of the business? You stay there, my God. 6 months minimum. I said, no, all you have to do is to make money. And he says, well, get an ambulance and don't get up, get a gurney and get him out. No, pick me up, and I'm not going to pay for an ambulance, and so on. And can you imagine he died because of that? Hooks, what? Business, money, all this stuff. Unnecessarily. So Arjuna had the same problem. That is proven because of his tears. And tears can be anger, again, frustrations, being worn out, and also, and we grow old, and somehow there's be some graciousness to that, and that becomes annoyed, and then we start only talking about the past, and so on and so on. That's the point of this Gita, so the person can learn to straighten the hooks. And then, listen please, the Gita or the best teacher, even God himself, Krishna, cannot do it. You know why? Why God is helpless. He cannot help you. Because it is your job, my job. You can take a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. So I need to become aware of it. So this fellow, this king, he wanted to become a rishi, and the guy wasn't qualified. Why? Because he had all these hooks. He was hooked to power, hooked to this, hooked to that, pride and all that stuff. Anyway, that's the lesson of today. Any questions, please? Any comments? Yeah. It's an approach to the Bhagavad Gita that was taught by my teachers, Dayananda and Shrimayananda, and it's an amazing thing. With Shankara Bhashya, of course.
You probably know that quote by Shakespeare, he's talking about actors. And Shakespeare said, the whole world is a stage, and mere actors.
That's right.
That applies very much to the
That's right.
to the Vedanta philosophy.
Yeah, but then we get confused, and we want to continue with the how do you call the thing? The thing comes down. The curtain goes down, and we're still stuck, in the character. That's the problem. There's nothing wrong with playing the game. The problem is that I want to continue being the king. Or I take revenge. I was a beggar. They kicked me, and I want to think I was going to go kick the other guy. It's a play. In Sanskrit, it's called what? Ishwaras? Lila. Have you ever heard the word Lila?
Yes.
That is exactly what it is. Ishwaras Lila. Yes, have fun with it. But how can you get fun if you're hooked to it? That's the problem. And it's not the problem. It's not the fault of the world. It's our distorted identification with it. That's all it is. So that's why I say it's a cognitive change. Just to finish, there's this example that I make over of a pencil. If you take a pencil that somebody loves and you're trying to show something, you put a pencil in water, and the person is in love with the pencil. And when you put it in the water, the pencil now is crooked. In a glass of water, the pencil is, oh, my pencil! And then we go with resentment the rest of our life because the pencil is crooked. When the pencil is not really crooked, it just looks crooked. It's called Maya. You have to understand that. You understand that, then there's no suffering. So you say, funny, look, it looks bent. It's not bent at all, but it looks bent. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with the world. The world is nothing but Brahman. And you are that Brahman. Tat Tvamasi, you are that. That needs to be apprehended. That's what the purpose of this satsang is, hopefully. We pray for that, okay? Let's do a prayer before we finish. Lord, lead me from what appears to be true to what is true. Lead me, Lord, from ignorance, from darkness, into light, into knowledge. Lord, lead me from a sense of limitation to discover my limitlessness. Lord, that is whole. This is whole. From that whole, this whole became manifest. And if from that whole we were to take away this whole, what will remain will again be only the whole. Lord, let there be peace, peace, peace. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kachit Dukha Bhavet Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.